person who receives it, or the person, or you yourself, with the help of vitamins and other things, and already had our vaccinations. Thanks.
Perhaps due to the unfolding of the COVID-19 pandemic.
People would say that, Lord, where are you when I needed you most? I had a dream, and I thought that
About yourself then. What do you see?
I talk to you softly with love. But when I'm not satisfied or when I'm angry, I'm shouting and you cannot even hear me anymore.
Good day, everyone. Today, September 21, marks a historic event in the Philippines, as it was the day that martial law was declared by then President Ferdinand Marcos in 1972, that started the one-man rule that ended until the EDSA Revolution of 1986. And today we will have Aurora Bautista, whom we always refer as our Manang Oring. She has been with the Cordillera News Agency Television as year starter guest for her vibrations and predictions. And in behalf of the earlier program hosts, we have Fiscal Lilian Oliva and Nonette Bennett. Allow me to do the honors to have the conversation with Manang Oring on what she sees in her cards. Manang Oring, we missed you for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Perhaps due to the unfolding of the COVID-19 pandemic. So how are you?
We're okay. Fortunately, we already had our vaccinations. Thanks to our efficient government, most of the vaccination places are open. And with the help of vitamins and other things and a happy attitude, I think our immune systems are working.
Yes, that's good to hear, Manang. Can we start?
Yes.
Your vibrations and how the shape of things will come in the future. So firstly, what are your foresights and vibrations on the current situation where cases are surging, particularly COVID-19 in our city, region, the country, and I guess the whole world?
Well, December of 2019, I had a dream, and I thought that maybe it's just the Bautista clan or the UV that was affected. So I even called up my sister-in-law and told her, could you please tell Javi to be very careful, because the building his office is might collapse. Because I've been seeing people who had passed on, and parang all around was mud. I was even thinking maybe there will be a typhoon. But anyway, 2020 passed with all this COVID, no? And now we're 2021 and still here.
Are we going to see the end of this pandemic? How soon?
Parang as they said nga in the Bible, that people would say na, Lord, where are you when I needed you most? And God said that I talk to you softly with love, but when I'm not satisfied or when I'm angry, I'm shouting and you cannot even hear me anymore. So I guess that's what's happening now. God is shouting, but
We didn't listen.
we wouldn't listen. But of course, having gone through almost 2 years of the COVID, I still have a sort of a positive vibration that we will sort of wade through it, but not this year, maybe next year. And it will be something like when we have learned to live with it and accepted it the way it is, we also would learn to defend ourselves against it. So I guess we will see the end of it.
So, not this year.
Not this year, maybe next year.
Do you see people still wearing face masks by around 2 to 3 years from now? Face mask, face shield,
Uh, yes.
that will be
Unfortunately.
our fashion
Yeah.
now.
Maybe it will be a personal initiative, or maybe because this pandemic is something like the flu, it comes and goes. So most probably that will be the way we will deal with COVID.
Manang Ording, how do you think our government is responding to COVID?
Well, everybody tries to do it the way they want, or the way they think would be the best. And of course, when there's hardships, the devil's there to intensify the hardships, and our faith weakens, no? So I guess it's more faith, more belief in what things you could do, and sharing with others what you have.
Do you think this will now be our new normal? They say we are under the new normal, so will not shift anymore, will not go back anymore to the past that we had.
Well, if we mean the past that we had, no, it's very individual and very compartmentalized, you know. Like, for example, the rich never thought that they would, get into something like this, and yet now at this point we're all the same, you know. We can all be affected by the COVID. Maybe eventually things will go back to almost what it was before. Eventually.
But not too soon.
Not too soon.
Okay, ma'am, we'll shift to another topic. October will be the filing of candidacy. So we are now observing the alignment of political candidates from the national positions down to local levels. How do you see the political landscape at the national and local levels?
Well, I would call it the year of fairy tales. And di ba, we always started reading fairy tales when we were young. And what was the lesson that we would learn from it? It's the triumph of the good over evil, di ba? And there are many sacrifices, many surprises, many changes of events, and actually it will be a very interesting October.
Oh,
And things that we sort of gave up on, or things that we already expect, it won't turn out that way.
unexpected.
Yeah. Parang, kunyari, something like, they already wrote who's the first in excellence in a class. And suddenly, midway, the valedictorian did something very unaccepted. So, to punish him, they made him salutatorian. And it happens, because I come from St. Teresa's College, they're very strict about academics and behavior. We had a very intelligent dorm mate. She was the one picked to be the valedictorian. But a month or two before graduation, she escaped from the dorm and partied. And she came back the next day. But that afternoon, her parents came home and they found out she wasn't there, and they said that they didn't give her permission to go. So she was punished. They removed that summa cum laude from her and gave it to another, and she graduated without honors.
So sad.
Yeah. So, the pandemic is doing that to us. There are many things na we think we're doing right, but we're doing it wrong. So, for me, as I said, the rich and the poor are equal. So, Like for example, that they're saying Pacquiao shouldn't run, or this guy shouldn't run, or things like that. Well, we never know, no? That's why I call this the year of the fairy
Fairy
tales.
tales. Hopefully happy ending.
Surely, because most of the fairy tales ends with the good
Yeah.
winning over the bad.
bad.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Manang, locally, what do you see in Baguio politics?
Here in Baguio, uh, there are many things that we're expecting as the people of Baguio. And there are also many things that the government officials are expecting of us. And what they're doing also is good. But of course, there are always things that the population wants and the government doesn't want, and so on. But I think in Baguio, there are many projects that will not move. And our elections also will be a surprise.
Oh. So we will all be surprised.
Yeah, it's the year of surprises and miracles.
Will there be a drastic change in terms of development, particularly on tourism, environment, market development, among others?
Well, as we said, everything will go slowly. No drastic changes. And actually, this year and next year is a year of recuperating, or small things will happen but not very big. The only thing is that our environment is going to be quite something to deal with.
Ma'am, Manang, Baguio City is a UNESCO designated creative city. Will Baguio rise up as a creative capital of the Philippines?
Actually, creative is very personal also. I mean, like for example, what is Baguio made of? Baguio is a, what do you call that? It's a melting pot of all people in the Philippines. From the lowlands, from the highlands, and so on. With many talents. And the word creative, mostly everybody thinks it's in the arts, no? And but actually, there was a time when people thought Baguio was the most wonderful place to live in. Why? And surprisingly, they would say, kasi ang babait ng mga tao doon, people conform with laws, no matter what religion, they're kind to each other, ganyan. Now, parang everybody wants to do his own thing, and sometimes those in position try to, push it into the throats of others. But I think that Baguio is still Baguio. The old timers and the new timers, or whatever you call them, they're still respectful.
Yeah.
They're still considerate of others, and there are only a few who think that they can, sit on the Carabao's back and be heard, But as a whole, I think Baguio will move slowly, but very cautiously, and they will be able to achieve things that they thought they will not be able to achieve.
Manang, there's a continuing pursuit for Cordillera Autonomous Region. Do we have a big chance to become Cordillera Autonomous Region?
I don't think so. That's what comes into my mind. I know, but there are too many people involved that they will just pull each other down.
Fragmentality.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to work hard.
Yeah.
to realize it.
Yes.
Manang, there are many projects by the present administration like the build, infrastructure programs. Because of COVID-19, we're working on the resiliency and recovery development programs of the government. Are the ordinary Juan and Juana will feel that their lives would improve and benefit from such programs?
No.
Why?
Because usually they feel that all those programs are only for those who can afford or those who are in the position. But if if the people in government will listen, they will be able to be successful.
So, we in the government should listen more to the people,
Yes,
the people's
people's
sentiments.
sentiments. And uh, if if you have a plan, you should ask for suggestions. Parang ganun.
Involve the people. Manang, another program of the government is the ending local armed conflict. Will there be an end to the so-called ending local armed conflict among the left wing or the CPP and PA-NDF wing?
Well, as long as the people don't have food on their table and don't have a roof on their heads, and many are dying for useless reasons, it's hard for that to come. There should be one with a heart to lead.
But are we moving towards that or we're quite slow?
Actually, it's on a standstill. And parang what I could see now in the horizon, many countries will parang dip their finger into our problems. And there might be a bigger war, not only against the insurgents.
I know this is closest to your heart, being your family engaged more on education. How do you think is the sector coping and thriving amid the pandemic?
Well, as long as there are teachers, as long as there are institutions that are willing to go beyond the last step or whatever it is, the education sector is not really on the brink of bankruptcy or on the brink of giving up. Actually, it's a challenge for them.
But how are we coping?
Well, actually, we're not anymore involved. That's the children. And
Yeah.
when we ask them, they say their enrollment naman daw is okay,
Oh.
and that the teachers are willing to walk the last mile, whatever it is. So I think as long as people are willing to learn and be patient, because some of them say na they're not learning enough. But actually, when you think about it, during the World War, children didn't go to school for 3 years, 3 or 4 years, di ba? And when the war stopped, everybody just, started all over again. So that's maybe how education will be.
So we will try to adjust to the situation. Manang, what do you think of our communication sector, particularly media? I know all of them, most of us affected by the pandemic, but we're still trying to bring out the news, be part of communicating what there is in the community and the country.
Well, I think I would congratulate media in a sense, because without media, people would really be so bored with their lives and, listen to those fake news and all that. But when they see it or when they hear it from media, in the way that you bring it out, then it gives us hope. Actually, it keeps us going. All sorts of media, whether entertainment, political, Catholic or Christian, it helps us cope with everything.
Manang, almost all Philippine. Are you in social media? Do you have Facebook?
Yeah, but I watch television. But sometimes when my husband is very much into Facebook, so
Almost all Filipinos are into social media, which makes news and information easily accessible. Do you see any threat on these portals? Or this will be our primary mode of communication nowadays
uh,
versus physical interaction?
it will be for a while, 2, 3 years. Those people who hear from, interacting physically, and those who cannot go out, I think it's a very, very good way of communicating with them.
What about fake news? Will it be a threat to the whole community?
Actually, fake news is like the devil. He tries to make you confused. He confuses you. He gives you information that you're not supposed to have, things like that. But as they say nga, in our fairy tale, the good always triumphs over evil. So, as long as you have belief in God, patience, prudence, and perseverance, and of course, love for your country and love for your family, I think those are very positive reasons why fake news will be defeated.
Manang, we go to family, something personal. We know the lockdowns, the restrictions, so more often than not, we're staying home. So do you think we get back to old family values of being together, banding together?
Actually, personally, me and my husband talk more together than when everything was so normal, when he had his other golf or some other activities. And our children, of course, have their own lives now, but it's parang provincial lifestyle in a way na you make do with what there is.
So we have to adjust. Even families, we communicate via Zoom. Yeah.
But I think that the telephone and the cell phone are so important. Kasi nga, like certain people, some people live alone. And if she or he is your friend, call him up lang or texting him, how are you, ganyan. It uplifts the morals of people.
Manang, Christmas is almost here. You can feel it already.
Yeah.
So, what do you think our Christmas would be?
Maybe like last year.
Better than last year?
Parang like last year. Kasi, actually, there are more people now who are low in resources. And there are more people now who are desperate. And siyempre, a big celebration is not fair.
Yeah.
And then, maybe it will be a family affair. And if people are inspired to share, then it will be a good Christmas for everyone else.
So, the key is we should be able to share what we have, no matter how little and simple it is. Manang, syempre, Christmas, we will have New Year. Will there be a brighter future with hopes for 2022?
Parang, to do that way, let's not hope beyond what we cannot do. Kasi no matter how you look at it, the weather, climate change, the hard-headedness of some people and our leaders. Somehow maybe God is testing us and God's showing us that we're not the only ones who live in this universe or in this world. So whatever comes our way, we really have to rise from it.
Rise from
Yeah.
it. Manang, syempre, next year, election. What do you see during election time? It would be peaceful. We will have I guess, different, we will have to adjust our voting
Yeah.
type of vote, schedule for voting.
I don't know. I see a fog. There's a fog. But anyway, if we pray hard enough and do our part, I think we will get good.
It's up to the people.
Yeah.
What do you think should be the role of the general public, of each one of us?
Well, if you're in politics, it's hard for you to adjust now. Kasi, or if you're in the government, you have to try to do what your bosses expect you to do. But I think if we trust in our own what do you call this, judgment, and our conscience and our belief in God, I think things will turn out good.
So it's up to each one.
Yeah.
I can see plants around. Do you think getting back to taking good care of our environment would play a major role?
Yes, very much. Because sabi nga nila, they say that when you want to live healthy and long, there are 4 things you should do. First, have a garden. Take care of a garden. Second, you should have a social life, a spiritual life, and a healthy diet.
Okay, so that's our things to remember.
Yes.
Especially now that we're being rocked by COVID-19 and among other challenges. Manang, one last question about disasters. What do you see? What type of disasters are we expecting this year, next year?
Yeah, this year we will have a lot of bad typhoons this coming year. And something like the one we had with Ondoy ba yun?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this time, the Cordillera will be very much affected. So, we should protect our forest. And there will be a time na parang there will be a drought naman. So, that's parang ganun.
So we should be prepared. Brought about by climate change.
Yes.
Manang Arlene, it's nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Nice conversation. So before we end, your message to our topic.
Everything you heard here, they're what they call this. It's not fake news, but you don't necessarily have to think that I know everything, no? Because everything that happens around us and in our families and in our country, every single individual contributes to it. So, if you have a happy attitude, if you know how to say I'm sorry or thank you, the person who receives it or you yourself will feel that parang there's more light in the atmosphere. So, let's all hope for a better tomorrow. I mean, live through it now, live with COVID, but one day we will live out of it.
Maraming salamat Manang Orling for having us today, having a chat and conversation with you. What we have discussed is not the Bible truth, but it matters to us as a guide, and be prepared
Yeah.
and be able to discern what we should be able to contribute to improve our lives.
Yes,
So,
individually.
and I guess it will matter in making our future better. So, we'd like to see you again in next year's episode of Vibrations and Foresights by Manang Orling Bautista. So, cheers to Manang Orling.
Thank you to all of
Maraming
you.
salamat po.